no refund dining policy, Norovirus outbreaks, and woo, 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 who let the dogs out? Bringing your dogs
on.
Bringing your dogs on board a cruise. Welcome to Cruise, Muse and Anchor Banter. This is where we're going to tell you what's hot in the news this week.
I got what you want. Honey, honey, I got what you need. Honey, honey, I got what you want.
Hi, we are Rob and Ali, sharing with you our passion of all things cruise and travel. This is our new section, isn't it, Rob?
It is. Cruise Muse. Cruise Muse.
Oh, gosh.
Cruise Muse and Anchor Banter. It's where we take some topics that have been floating around the internet and may have had some comments on already, and we just put our lens on them.
Put our two penneth in. Have our say. We always have plenty to say about this, but we don't share it with you guys. We just share it with each other, don't we?
Usually around the dinner table, yeah. No. And then we usually say, wish we'd had a camera on.
we do. So here we go. Carnival defends no refund dining policy. Let me tell you all about this one, Rob.
Yeah,
so
what
I was
happened there?
reading. So what happened was, you know your fancy schmancy dining experiences of your the directors. You've been on one.
Chef's Table.
Chef's Table.
Yes, very nice.
These are very exclusive dining experiences where there's only normally about 15 to 25 people.
Oh, I wouldn't even say that much, maybe 15 or something, depends on cruise lines, but it's a select few, that's for sure.
And you have a sort of an array of courses with wines to match. You sometimes get a galley tour and sort of a head speaker or something, or the captain will sit with you. Beautiful. People rave on them.
I don't think the captain sits with you anymore, maybe in the past, but generally you will get some good commentary by the maitre d' or the chef themselves. The wines will be specially prepared to match the meals, and you might get a menu that's signed by the head chef. It's all very fancy schmancy, and they're not cheap. They're not cheap.
No. Mum and Dad went on one as well, but the people rave on them. Anyway, there were a party of people, I think there was at least 4 of them, that had booked for one of these chef's tables and then had gone out for the day and didn't turn up. And the event had started, and the maitre d' then tried to track down this party of people, found them, and then they just said that they had had a very tiring day in Mexico on a trip out that day and just didn't want to make it to the event. That's fine. If you change your mind, I guess that's one thing. There's a few things really here that's kind of dinging our bells, isn't it? But then they asked for a refund. And, of course, the ship said no. The people took to social media and kind of slammed Carnival all over social media. And so old John Heald took to social media, Carnival ambassador, and defended it. So he defended it by basically saying, if you're going to spend all day in Mexico drinking margaritas and feeling a bit rough, that's not an excuse to get your money back. So there's a few things that are striking me here. What do you think about that?
This is not your complimentary dining. It's not where you sort of book a meal and you don't turn up. It's not even your specialty dining, is it? This is a very select group. And part of the enjoyment of the chef's table is having just that select group of people and enjoying the experience. All the meals, all the food will be specially prepared beforehand. Yeah. It's not like they can really use it for anything else. I think I'm with Carnival on this, to be honest with you. I'm thinking it's,
Well, number one, I thought, how rude. If somebody was ill or something had happened while you were off on the day and somebody broke a leg or something and you had more important things to deal with.
Can't be helped,
fine.
In other words. Yeah, it's like one of those.
But number one, that you just didn't even bother ringing, even if you'd bothered just courtesy-wise, just to say, we're not going to turn up, we're feeling a bit under the weather now, we're not going to come. It might have given them a chance to sell those tickets to somebody else.
It would have been very late, though. If the event's already started, how can you then...
People, there's always a waiting list.
But people get dressed up. People get dressed up for these. They might put a suit on or a formal dress, because it really is quite an exclusive event. And when it's already started, to expect somebody to actually sort of
But they would have known.
They might have eaten even.
They would have known, though, wouldn't they, Rob? An hour or two before, because you, as you say, you're going to get ready.
The party would, yeah.
The party who didn't turn up would have known at like 5 o'clock or whatever. No. We're just not going to bother turning up. So they could have rung then and said, "See if you can sell the tickets."
At that time,
there would have been I'm sure there would have been.
Not when they're not turning up. Once it started, there's no chance at all, is there?
No, I'm saying when they knew, when they didn't want to get dressed up, when they didn't want to go. That would have been at least an hour, 2 hours beforehand.
Yeah. I don't think it's not about the money for me, are they? I mean, it is expensive and the Carnival would have lost, but in the overall scheme of things, that's not a great thing. But it's about the experience and the fact that there is a waiting list. As you said, there's usually a waiting list. And if people can just cancel or just not turn up and deprive other people of that experience, I think it's the lesson that needs to be taught.
I think so. I think it's just bad manners. Bloody rude is the way I would have said it. The other thing is, if you've only got 15 people, like if you have your own dinner party or if you've got Christmas party or something, and you've got...
I've had a party like that once. People just don't turn up. It happens quite regularly.
Yeah, you've got four empty seats. So what I'm saying is, even though you're strangers at a table, when you've only got 15 or 20 people and you've got 4 of them empty. It
spoils the ambience, doesn't it?
It does the atmospheres then. They'll be kind of shuffling it up and people will then go, are they going to turn up or aren't they?
What if they gave extra portions? What if they gave those portions to the other people?
That's what you'd want, wouldn't you? You'd say, I'll
try. The extra glass of wine.
Oh, yes, I'll have theirs. Just make a good thing out of a bad thing. And then... I guess the other thing is, okay, so let's push that aside and say we just thought that was a little bit of bad manners on their part to not actually say they weren't coming, but to then expect a refund. Yeah. I think, do you think that's... Because it has been prepared. And
absolutely, and it's not mass prepared. As I said, it's prepared for that number of people. They can't use that food anywhere else because it is specialty food. If it was on the dogs cruise, though, perhaps they could
feed the meal to the dogs. Oh my God, we've just segued through the whole section. This shows you where our brains just kind of go. It'd be a raffle, wouldn't it?
It's like all dogs' names go into a hat and the ones that get pulled out get the salmon and prawns.
I think for me, that lesson would be, I think, just good manners, regardless of whether you're on a cruise ship or not. That's just if you're not going to make it to a restaurant, call the restaurant up.
You've also got to wonder though, if they had have turned up, if they'd been in Mexico drinking margaritas or something.
Did you want them on your?
Do you want them on your table anyway?
And then falling asleep, head first into their kind of their filet
What are your
mignon.
thoughts? What do you think? What do you think?
Smoked salmon roulade.
Put your thoughts in the comment. Let's get some conversation going on this one.
Poor old Coral Princess and the passengers and the crew. I feel sorry for everybody involved in this one. So Coral Princess had an outbreak of norovirus, and I think they docked up about 4 times to do a deep clean. Nobody was happy. Yeah. It just they couldn't do anything right. They did the deep clean. So if you're not aware, norovirus is a nasty virus that is a gastro.
Yeah.
It gives
it is nasty. It's very painful and it's and very inconvenient as well. You can't really go too far from your cabin.
Yeah, I've had it twice.
You can't go to the corridor.
I've had it twice. I've never had it on board a cruise ship. Just had it twice, just kind of on land.
It's not a cruise ship based thing. In fact, it's quite common in areas where nursing homes get a lot of norovirus as well, surprisingly enough. But it's because you've got all these people in a confined space that spend all this time together, and the germs just get past.
And I guess this was one of the things about it being across the media, because Coral Princess, it was kind of. It's called the sort of the cruise ship virus, and the cruise companies are saying it's not. It is not a cruise ship virus.
It's not. But let's face it. I mean, it's been this way for a little while now. Ever since Ruby Princess, the media does anything cruising. The media's on it all straight away, and anything to do with illness, sickness, anything that's mass outbreaks since coronavirus, since COVID, they're on it straight away. So if you've got norovirus on a cruise ship, the media are just going to have a field day.
Well, do you know why? It's because being in a confined space on board a ship in the middle of the ocean.
Oh, it's not going to be good. Don't get me wrong.
No, but there's some kind of primal fear, so it's newsworthy because you kind of think, We can't escape. You can't get away from it. You've either got norovirus, you've got kind of coronavirus. You're on the, what do they call it? The fever ship. There's something it's something there, isn't there, about being on like a fever ship or something that, and you're all gonna get it. There's something more dramatic and
Ruby
drastic.
needs a cruise.
She does. I think she's heard about the next one, about there being a themed cruise. I have some fascinating statistics for you then about norovirus. Okay, on the cruises. So, in 2024, we've had 8 outbreaks. So, what they're classed as outbreaks on board a ship. Now, it doesn't sound a lot, does it? And, it sounds even less when you know that there have been 15,000 voyages. So it's very, very low incidence rate. I think the problem here was why Coral Princess got such a bad press was that they cleansed the ship 4 times with a deep clean, and when they do a deep clean, it's like a hospital grade.
So this is the one where they ported and everybody had to get off for 6 hours.
And then they kind of paid for people to have the trip off. The only thing, and that this is what I was thinking, you get everybody off, they paid for them to have a kind of day trip and paid for their meals or something while they were off and give them compensation, then they got everybody back on. Now, the only thing is, they didn't deep clean the people, did they? So you could have the passengers go off, spend it, and they could just bring the virus back in, and nobody, I guess, unless you push them through a sheep dip, where everybody gets plonked into a sheep dip to get cleansed. How would you actually know that somebody wasn't?
That's a fair point, though, isn't it?
Bringing it back on.
It's a fair point, isn't it?
So it could have been the same person 4 times, just kept bringing it back on, or a crew member that it was in their fingernails or something. Anyway, it is carried on. It goes from person to person. It's on food. It's in water.
It goes very quick as well.
And it's on surfaces as well. And then it said the biggest thing is hand washing, and that's why they have the wishy-washy stations by the whatever they call them. Is that what they call them?
Washy-washy, I think.
Oh, washy-washy. Wishy-washy. Washy-washy stations and using the hand sanitizer. And I guess we were all absolutely fastidious after coronavirus, and then kind of died off a little bit. We still have our little wipes that we use on the phone and things like that.
They still have the cruises we've been on.
About as much as I do.
Yeah, the cruises we've been on, what's it called? The squirty...
The hand sanitizer.
Yeah. They're generally around, and the wash stations are around, but they don't have the people policing that cleansing like they used to. No.
Lifts is the big one for me. The buttons, pressing the buttons on the lifts. When I work in the city, I always press the things to cross the road with my elbow. I just got into a habit of that because so many people in the city are hitting the cross the road buttons. But when I'm on the lifts on a cruise ship, I sometimes I'll use my knuckle, and so I just forget sometimes, and then I remember afterwards that then you're going to touch your face, and really I guess you should find a way to touch that button that's
I try to not use the handrails if possible. Sometimes if the ship's rocking a little bit, sometimes you haven't got a lot of choice, but if I'm going up and down the stairs, I'll have my hand thereabouts just in case I lose my footing or the ship moves, but I tend to try to not actually make contact with the handrails.
You don't want to be weird about it, do you? That you've got your hand sanitizer all the time.
No, but you don't want to contract a nasty gastro virus either.
Yeah. And then the other big one for me is in the self-serve restaurants, whichever way you call them, the buffet kind of style restaurants. Now, on some of the cruise ships we've been on, even on that style, you're not allowed to touch the food yourself. That they get served to you from the servers behind the counter. Other ones, you get your salad stations and things, and you just go and help yourself to that. And I guess that's, again, you're going to be touching your food. People have touched those tongs.
Yes.
And you've got 1,000 people before you're touching the same tongs. Oh, now, close Ruby. Ruby's hovering around here. That's our little schnauzer. She's an absolute delight, just very noisy. I don't think she's behaved enough to ever take on a cruise ship, I have to say. So, Margarita at Sea
seriously,
Islander.
sometimes she's not good enough to take to the dog park, let alone on a cruise ship.
Margaritaville at Sea Island have just announced a specialty themed cruise where you can bring dogs on board. Now, you may have noticed in the news recently, or in cruise news, if you're looking at cruises to go on, there are a lot more niche cruises and themed cruises that are going on. We're going on one at the weekend, which is a country style cruise that we're going on, which is kind of all country music and things like that. And we've been on the 80s cruises, but we've never been on one that's like a niche cruise. So the US are big on this. They'll do one that was, what was one called? Hallmark. Just couldn't get my head around what on earth that was about. But of course, it's about like crafts.
Oh.
You know, Hallmark the cards.
Oh, there you go.
So they
No,
do one.
haven't heard that.
They do one at Christmas, and it's all you go make all your own Christmas baubles and cards and all kinds of stuff, and you get into all the Christmassy stuff. But America's big on all those sort of things, and they're kind of expanding. Anyway, so this one is one about bringing your dogs on board.
Before we go barking mad.
Barking up the wrong tree. Let me tell you a tale about. Oh dear.
Let me pause there for a moment.
Stop. I'm only saying stop because you've done better than me with all your cliches and things. So this is the ship will welcome 250 dogs along with their owners, offering tailored amenities and activities. And they've got lots and lots of entertainment for both.
How many does this ship hold?
It was about 2,500.
But only 250. Oh, that's interesting, isn't it? How's that going to work?
But they've got special accommodation then for the passengers. Well,
not the usual cabins.
Well, it's the balcony. So what they've done is they've given them balcony cabins. So they've kind of sectioned those together. They are balcony cabins with a special little balcony area for them to do their business. So it's all sectioned off with a special little area for the dogs.
Right. So they're going to be able to have their food out there, and like doggy trays and that sort of thing.
Absolutely. So because initially you kind of think, why on earth would you want dogs?
Look, it's just, to be honest with you,
it's like smoking in a cabin. You can't get rid of if you're not a
so
dog lover
problems.
or a smoker. People who are non-dog owners and people who are non-smokers,
what about
you can
allergies?
smell it straight away.
What
allergies.
What about people with allergies, hair allergies, and that sort of thing?
Well, you'd know not to go on that particular cruise ship.
But
what I'm saying is,
what about the one afterwards? I mean, I know they do a good job cleaning, but it's just
that's what I'm thinking. You would
don't know
smell
where the
it. It
dogs
would
have
be
been.
there. I
don't know. There just seems to be. It sounds great, doesn't it? Be able to take your dog on a cruise ship, but the number of problems that I can see, a number of issues that would need to be overcome, just like I think it outweigh it.
And you know how the dogs, when we take Ruby to the dog park, I mean the dogs.
One starts barking in the middle of the night, and
they don't all love each other, do they? Some of them get on, but some of them don't. Anyway, it's saying.
So do you pay extra for that?
I do love the idea of this, though. It's got dog-centric activities, dog shows, training sessions, costume contests, splash zones. I love it. I mean, they don't seem to have a restriction on the size, but maybe they have limited it to the little chaps, which would make it a lot easier to handle, and rather than having some Great Danes and some of the
Irish
bigger,
wolfhounds,
some of those bigger ones.
Well, what do you do with them when you have your meals then? Because like you shut them in your cabin.
Well, it's saying that you've got a dedicated pet butler. He assists with your pet needs during the voyage, so he'll be able to give you your pet food and stuff, I guess.
I'm seeing dollars creeping up here. As soon as you start talking about those sorts of things, I don't think... Have we got any prices? Did you get prices?
No. It's saying they'll all have to have their up-to-date vaccinations and health clearances.
Yeah, that would make sense.
It's organised through a partnership with Cruise Tales and Expedia Cruises.
Cruise Tales?
So it's America, yeah. It's
as in dogs'
as in
tails.
wacky tails, yeah. More details, including the pricing, will be announced in the coming weeks.
We'll keep an eye on that.
And it's all about, there's a bigger demand for pet-friendly travel experiences. And I guess if you, like us, we like to cruise, we like to do these shorter ones when we get away, as well as our bigger holidays that we like to do. We do, it is a pain having to get your dogs looked after, isn't it? Sort of, we get the girls to look after them, and then sometimes they have to go into kennels.
Pet resort.
Pet resort.
Yes. Pet
we
resort.
don't say kennels anymore.
No.
Pet resort. It would be lovely.
In fact, they can have their own. You can upscale you can go onto like a suite for the dogs where they have their own television and their own little swimming pool as well.
All this is to make the owners feel better about clearing off and leaving their fur babies.
I don't think that dogs have ever come back and say, hey, you know what? The TV didn't work. There was no channel.
Yeah, actually,
there we go.
We've lost little Toby now, but when Toby and Ruby used to go, they loved all the attention, actually. But for me, I would get a lot of joy from taking Ruby on a cruise, on a short cruise. I think this one's like 3 days. I think this is only a short one. Yes. I would get a lot of joy from taking her on a cruise, watching her in the splash zone, and
it would be good,
and having the costumes. But then I also feel it's like taking a child, isn't it? It's like a lot of hard work because your brain is constantly making sure that your pet is
I hope this is well advertised and told to the people who haven't got their dogs. If it's 2,500 passengers and only 10% of them are going to be able to take the dogs, not everybody loves dogs. And if you book a cruise and you're not aware that it's going to have 250 dogs on board,
I'd be like, what the hell?
Seriously. I just
slip that one in.
Yeah. No,
you would, though.
You'd be cranky, wouldn't you?
I
reckon.
Yeah, every time I heard a bark, I would be like, this isn't right. So
especially if you had allergies. So yeah, look, as long as they're aware of it. I don't know when they decided to make this a dog cruise, whether it was like always going to be, or whether they changed one that's already. Because if they'd already sold tickets, some of those cabins, and then decided to make it dogs cruise. Well, I managed to check that one out and see what that was about.
Yeah, so we'll have a look at the prices.
There we go.
Just to see, just to be curious and to see what the rest of the cabins at a discount then, or whatever.
If they weren't, it would be a bit rough, wouldn't it?
Oh, thanks for that one, Robert.
Thanks.
So that's
We're going to have to wrap this up because I'm out.
We're going to wrap this one up. That's been a lot of fun, babe.
Yeah.
Enjoyed that. Hope you have too.
If you have, hit the like, hit the subscribe, hit the notification button. But also, put some comments in about any of the subjects we've spoken about. Give us your thoughts. Let's start a bit of conversation going. And we'll see what other people think.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching.
Take care, everybody, and have a great cruisy week.
Bye for now.